So, we've all noticed the trend where some of the video game companies we loved seem to have given up on making good games and are churning out titles that fans absolutely hate. And despite the backlash, game companies have found ways to continue to milk money from the very people that used to love them. We've been seeing yearly releases of Call of Duty for almost 2 decades. We have sports games like Madden, FIFA, or NBA that have been released every year long past that 2-decade mark. And then we have the free-to-play games that bombard you with microtransactions and never-ending updates that give you something new to grind on all the time. Hello, Season Pass? But have you ever stopped to consider why these models are so prevalent? Or why companies decide to sell their soul to bigger companies? What's driving icons of innovative gaming like Blizzard to create mobile games perceived as cash grabs, and then put themselves up for sale? Why hasn't there been a new GTA in the past 10 years? Why don't we see as many innovative indie games as we'd like? In this video, we'll delve into the inner workings of the video game industry and uncover the role money plays in these decisions. Now, I love looking for those indie games that hold a unique spot in my heart. But as much as I hate to admit it, the deeper you look into it, the video game industry is an industry. What I mean by this is that companies have to make money to keep their workers, or even themselves, paid to make the next game. According to a 2018 GDC talk, only 7% of all released games actually made enough money for a studio to survive and try to make their next game. And 82% of these released games don't even make one person's minimum wage. You also have to take into consideration that the data shown in this speech excludes the games that never even saw the light of day. And as much as I wish the industry could always be full of passionate, creative individuals that can make great games left and right, this is the harsh reality of traditional single-player video games as a business. Why is it so hard to make money off video games anyways? Let's take a quick look at how much money a video game released on Steam actually earns. Steam takes a 30% cut from the revenue, and then if you use Unreal Engine, that's an additional 5% cut if you start making a lot of money. Then we have the publishers. Lots of indie devs will borrow help from a publisher to handle things outside of game development. While the number for what the publisher takes is all over the place, it's around the 20% mark on average. That's already 55% of your revenue just gone. And I emphasize revenue because this is before operating costs such as salary, rent, and tax. And game development usually needs external help as well for big and small teams. This could be anything from middleware, assets, marketing, outsourcing for art, music, and etc. That's also a huge chunk of development costs that's hard to estimate. And you have to consider that the majority of these single-player games will make most of their revenue in the first few months, and then sales will drop rapidly. Companies can try to increase interest in their games through DLC or successful media like Cyberpunk Edgerunners or Arcane, while such large-scale reinvestment is often risky and rarely succeeds. In contrast, online games and yearly releases help stabilize revenue. You have a general idea of how many Call of Duty copies you can sell next year. You can estimate how many season passes you will sell, and etc. And that stability helps determine how much a company can expand or invest in their next project, or even how many people you need to hire to keep that free-to-play game afloat. And usually these games are repetitive and grindy, and for the most part don't provide memorable experiences like single-player games. And yet, they are working from a business perspective by providing stability. Another common strategy companies in the gaming industry use is mergers and acquisitions. Microsoft is trying to acquire Blizzard for $67.8 billion, and Take-Two Interactive acquired mobile game developer Zynga for $12.7 billion. Why are huge, wealthy companies that already have a high market share so aggressive in acquiring gaming companies? The answer is that they want more portfolio diversification. By acquiring different studios with different skill sets, they naturally spread many risks, such as missing sales expectations or the trending of certain genres, across their portfolio. And for companies that sell hardware like Sony or Microsoft, this means more console exclusives, which in turn means a larger market share. However, we know all too well that not all these acquisitions have a positive outcome for gamers. A notable example is EA's acquisition of BioWare, the developer behind beloved franchises like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. After the acquisition, some fans felt that the quality and creativity of BioWare's games suffered, particularly with the release of Mass Effect Andromeda in 2017 and Anthem in 2019. And the companies being sold obviously know the risk they're taking. Then what's in it for them? Well, in most cases, being acquired means financial stability. Small game companies can receive a lump sum of cash at once, and that extra cash is just what so many developers need to focus on and finance their next game. Well, that plus some development support, such as publishing, advertising, and etc. So, to wrap up, consistency and increasing revenue are essential for any company to survive in the long run. And the gaming industry has long faced the risk of wide fluctuations in revenue because companies depended on the success of a single game. And to mitigate these risks, many game companies have shifted to online games, transforming the revenue spikes from individual games to continuous streams, and are acquiring other game companies to explore new genres and expand their business. And this is a very interesting trend that's not exclusive to the video game industry. Disney's acquisitions of Pixar, Marvel, and Fox are in the same vein, which shows that risk mitigation is important in any business. And watching these trends, I just hope that the gaming industry can find a good sweet spot where revenue and creative risk-taking can both thrive. Thanks for watching. It means the world to me. I'm considering these topics for my next video, so stay tuned.